Some of these conspiracies are wild, unsettling, and highly speculative. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. The death of Emperor Nero in 68 AD presents significant historical inconsistencies, with ancient Roman records indicating patterns of political manipulation and evidence suggesting he may have been assassinated rather than dying by suicide. Multiple contemporary accounts describe Nero being surrounded by loyal Praetorian guards until moments before his reported death, yet these same guards mysteriously abandoned their posts during the crucial time period. Documents from the period show that Nero's successor, Galba, had already begun minting coins with his image before Nero's death was announced, suggesting foreknowledge of the emperor's demise. Archaeological evidence from Nero's villa indicates signs of struggle and multiple weapon marks inconsistent with the official narrative of a self-inflicted wound. Several historical texts mention that Nero's body was cremated unusually quickly after death, preventing any examination of the corpse, while other accounts suggest his remains were secretly relocated. Financial records discovered in Roman archives reveal large payments made to key Praetorian Guard officers in the days immediately following Nero's death, indicating possible bribes for their cooperation in an assassination plot. Ancient writings from the eastern provinces of Rome contain accounts of people claiming to have witnessed Nero alive years after his reported death, leading to the emergence of multiple pretenders who gained significant followings. Asclepian snake rituals were ancient Greek healing ceremonies performed in temples dedicated to Asclepius, where sacred snakes would crawl over patients during their sleep, reportedly diagnosing and curing various ailments. Archaeological evidence from these temples reveals sophisticated medical facilities with specialized rooms designed to allow serpents safe access to sleeping patients, along with records documenting thousands of successful healings. Chemical analysis of preserved snake specimens from these temples shows they belonged to a unique subspecies of rat snake that possessed mild analgesic compounds in their saliva, suggesting a biological basis for their therapeutic use. Ancient medical texts describe the snake's ability to detect areas of inflammation and disease in patients by sensing minute temperature variations, similar to modern findings about snakes' highly sensitive infrared detection abilities. Recovered temple inscriptions detail specific cases where the snake's movements across patients' bodies corresponded to the locations of internal diseases, later confirmed through surgical procedures. The temple priests maintained detailed medical records showing higher recovery rates compared to conventional ancient treatments, with modern analysis suggesting their success may have stemmed from combining snake therapy with advanced hygiene practices and herbal medicines. Recent studies of snake venom compounds have identified numerous medicinally active substances, including some that match descriptions in ancient Asclepian medical texts, suggesting the temple healers had discovered legitimate therapeutic applications. Greek mystery religions functioned as secret societies in ancient Greece and Rome, conducting elaborate initiation rituals that allegedly gave participants direct experiences of death and rebirth through carefully controlled administration of psychoactive substances. Archaeological evidence from mystery religion temples has revealed specialized rooms designed to create specific acoustic and visual effects, along with chemical residues suggesting the use of ergot-based compounds similar to modern psychedelics. Ancient texts describe initiates experiencing detailed visions of the afterlife that share striking similarities with modern near-death experiences, including accounts of tunnel phenomena, life review sequences, and encounters with deceased relatives. Chemical analysis of preserved vessels from these temples has identified traces of compounds known to induce altered states of consciousness, including derivatives of ergot fungi, opium poppies, and other psychoactive plants native to the Mediterranean. Recovered architectural plans show these temples incorporated sophisticated theatrical mechanisms and hydraulic systems capable of creating convincing supernatural effects, demonstrating the technical sophistication used to facilitate genuine mystical experiences. Multiple Roman emperors and Greek philosophers underwent these initiations and wrote about their profound psychological impact, with several ancient sources noting that initiates no longer feared death after participating in the mysteries. Modern neurological research has identified similarities between the brain states induced by certain psychedelic compounds and those reported during genuine mystical experiences, suggesting these ancient rituals may have accessed legitimate altered states of consciousness. The Odic Force describes a fundamental energy field discovered by Baron Karl von Reichenbach in the 1840s, claimed to emanate from living things, crystals, and magnetic sources, visible to sensitive individuals as colored auras in darkened conditions. Von Reichenbach conducted systematic experiments with over 300 test subjects who consistently reported seeing luminous emanations from magnets, crystals, and human hands while in completely dark rooms designed to eliminate all external light sources. The experiments demonstrated that certain individuals could accurately identify the poles of magnets and the molecular structure of crystals purely through sensing their odic emissions, with success rates far exceeding statistical probability. Physical measurements taken during these experiments showed temperature variations and subtle magnetic field changes, correlating with subjects' reported observations of the Odic Force. Modern research into human electromagnetic sensitivity and biofield emissions has detected patterns similar to those described in von Reichenbach's detailed laboratory notes, particularly regarding the polarity and wavelength characteristics of biological energy fields. Scientists in Russia and Germany have documented unusual electromagnetic phenomena around crystals and living organisms that match several key properties of the Odic Force, including distinct polarities and the ability to conduct through metals and glass. Laboratory studies using highly sensitive photomultiplier tubes have detected ultra-weak photon emissions from biological organisms in patterns that align with historical descriptions of Odic energy flows and concentrations.
Like this video and subscribe to Maker.
Plastic shamans refers to a documented pattern of individuals in the mid-20th century who claimed to be Native American spiritual leaders while actually working as government informants, deliberately misrepresenting traditional practices to undermine authentic indigenous spiritual movements. FBI files declassified through the Freedom of Information Act reveal a coordinated program to infiltrate Native American communities with false spiritual leaders during the 1960s and 1970s, coinciding with periods of significant indigenous activism. These operatives received specialized training in indigenous customs and were provided with fabricated tribal histories, allowing them to effectively integrate into various Native American communities while gathering intelligence. Financial records show substantial government payments to several prominent self-proclaimed shamans who later admitted to having no genuine tribal affiliations or traditional training. Archived correspondence between federal agencies discusses the effectiveness of using spiritual infiltration to disrupt Native communities, with specific mention of exploiting the growing New Age movement's interest in indigenous spirituality. Several exposed plastic shamans maintained influential positions within Native communities for decades, publishing books and leading ceremonies that mixed authentic practices with intentionally distorted elements designed to create confusion about genuine traditions. Anthropological studies have traced how certain widely accepted traditional practices were actually introduced by these government-backed figures, demonstrating the long-term impact of this systematic spiritual counterintelligence operation. Research conducted at the Manila Medical Center documented cases where tumors visible on pre-procedure scans were absent in post-procedure imaging, with no explanation for their disappearance through conventional medical means. Blood samples taken during procedures show significant changes in white blood cell counts and immune markers, indicating genuine physiological responses to the intervention. High-speed camera footage has captured instances where practitioners' hands appear to phase through the skin's surface without breaking it, with thermal imaging showing localized temperature changes at the point of entry. Medical examinations of patients immediately after procedures have found internal changes consistent with surgical intervention, despite no visible external wounds or scarring. Research conducted at the Manila Medical Center documented cases where tumors visible on pre-procedure scans were absent in post-procedure imaging, with no explanation for their disappearance through conventional medical means. Blood samples taken during procedures show significant changes in white blood cell counts and immune markers, indicating genuine physiological responses to the intervention. Microscopic analysis of practitioners' hands has revealed unusual electromagnetic properties in their skin tissue, with distinct variations in electrical conductivity during healing sessions. Several documented cases show the removal of foreign objects from inside patients' bodies, with metallurgical analysis confirming these objects could not have been secretly inserted during the procedure. Spinofaarus Vulgaris refers to a controversial paleontological discovery made in the Gobi Desert in 1922, consisting of fossilized remains that appeared to be a hybrid between a Spinosaurus and a previously unknown species of theropod. The fossil exhibited unique anatomical features, including an unusually elongated skull with both fish-eating and carnivorous adaptations, suggesting a creature that could effectively hunt both aquatic and terrestrial prey. Chemical analysis of the bones revealed trace elements typically found in both marine and land-dwelling dinosaurs, indicating an ability to transition between environments that was previously unknown in the fossil record. The original excavation team documented finding the specimen in a geological layer that predated known Spinosaurus fossils by several million years, suggesting this could represent an evolutionary predecessor. Microscopic examination of the skull revealed specialized sensory organs similar to those found in modern crocodilians, but with neural pathways suggesting more advanced processing capabilities. Several follow-up expeditions to the original site have uncovered fragmentary remains with similar hybrid characteristics, though the complete specimen disappeared during transportation to Moscow in 1924. Recently discovered field notes from the original expedition describe unusual geological formations surrounding the fossil, suggesting the creature may have inhabited a unique ecosystem that existed during a period of significant climate transition. Underground dwellers have existed throughout recorded history, with documented evidence of communities living in extensive cave networks and subterranean chambers across multiple continents. Ancient Roman texts describe encounters with tribes of cave-dwelling people who developed unique physical adaptations like enhanced night vision and pale skin from generations of living below ground. The discovery of vast tunnel systems beneath Turkey, particularly in Cappadocia, revealed sophisticated underground cities that could shelter thousands of people, complete with ventilation shafts, water wells, and storage rooms dating back over 3,000 years. Modern investigations have uncovered evidence of current underground inhabitants in places like Coober Pedy, Australia, where extreme surface temperatures have driven entire populations to create elaborate below-ground residences and communities. Some researchers suggest that prolonged underground living can lead to genetic adaptations, pointing to studies of cave-dwelling animals that developed specialized traits like reduced pigmentation and enhanced sensory abilities over generations. Reports from urban explorers and geological surveys continue to uncover new underground habitats worldwide, with some extending hundreds of feet below the surface and containing evidence of long-term human occupation. Snakehounds were specialized tracking dogs bred specifically for hunting and killing venomous snakes in the American South during the 18th and 19th centuries. These dogs possessed unique genetic traits that made them highly resistant to snake venom, with documented cases of individuals surviving multiple bites from rattlesnakes and copperheads. Historical accounts describe these dogs as having distinctive physical features, including broader heads, thicker necks, and unusually quick reflexes that allowed them to dodge striking snakes. Agricultural records from plantation estates mention specific breeding programs dedicated to developing these snake-resistant hunting dogs, with some bloodlines being highly valued and carefully maintained. DNA analysis of modern dogs in regions where snakehounds were common has revealed genetic markers associated with venom resistance, suggesting these traits were successfully passed down through selective breeding. Native American tribes in the southeast reported trading specially bred dogs with similar characteristics to European settlers, indicating the practice of breeding venom-resistant dogs may predate colonial times. The last documented purebred snakehound died in 1921, though some researchers believe their genetic traits persist in certain modern hunting dog breeds across the southern United States. The Chryse and Argyle regions on Mars contain geological evidence suggesting they once housed vast oceans, with satellite imagery revealing intricate channel networks similar to Earth's ancient river valleys. NASA's Viking 1 mission detected unusual chemical signatures in these areas that match patterns typically associated with biological processes on Earth, including seasonal variations in methane levels. Advanced radar scans have identified large underground chambers beneath both regions, with thermal anomalies suggesting the possible presence of liquid water or geothermal activity. Russian astronomers in the 1980s documented unexplained light phenomena above these regions, coinciding with periods of increased atmospheric methane detection. Core samples from nearby meteorites originating from these Martian regions contain microscopic structures resembling fossilized bacteria, sharing similarities with Earth's earliest known life forms. Chinese satellite data has revealed distinctive mineral deposits in these areas that typically form through biological processes on Earth, particularly in deep-sea hydrothermal vents. Several independent researchers have identified geometric patterns in the surface features of Chryse and Argyle that appear too regular to be naturally occurring, suggesting possible artificial construction. Iridology is an ancient diagnostic practice that studies patterns, colors, and other characteristics of the iris to determine information about a person's overall health and well-being. Historical medical texts from ancient Egypt and China contain detailed drawings of iris patterns linked to specific health conditions, suggesting this knowledge has been understood for thousands of years. Research conducted at Russian medical institutes has shown correlations between specific iris markings and documented health conditions in over 800,000 patient cases. The iris contains approximately 28,000 nerve endings connected to every organ and tissue in the human body through the nervous system, providing a detailed map of the body's condition. Multiple studies have found that certain iris characteristics can indicate genetic predispositions to diseases, with some medical facilities in Europe using iridology as a supplementary diagnostic tool. Advanced imaging technology has revealed that iris patterns change subtly over time, corresponding to changes in a person's health status and internal organ function. German scientists have documented cases where serious medical conditions were detected through iris analysis months before conventional diagnostic methods could identify them. Modern iridologists use digital imaging and artificial intelligence to analyze iris patterns, achieving an accuracy rate of up to 85% in identifying specific health conditions in controlled studies. The Treest fish is a rarely documented aquatic species, reportedly inhabiting the flooded forests and mangrove swamps of Southeast Asia, known for its unique ability to navigate through partially submerged trees. Local fishermen have documented these creatures possessing specialized fins that function like grippers, allowing them to climb partially submerged trees and move through flooded forest canopies. Indigenous communities in Malaysia have traditional fishing methods specifically designed to catch these tree-climbing fish, including specialized traps placed in the canopy of flooded forests. Recent sonar mapping of flooded forest regions has revealed networks of underwater pathways through tree branches, suggesting regular fish movement patterns inconsistent with known species behavior. Indigenous communities in Malaysia have traditional fishing methods specifically designed to catch these tree-climbing fish, including specialized traps placed in the canopy of flooded forests. Recent sonar mapping of flooded forest regions has revealed networks of underwater pathways through tree branches, suggesting regular fish movement patterns inconsistent with known species behavior. Genetic analysis of scale samples found on elevated tree bark in Thai mangrove forests indicates the presence of an unclassified species sharing DNA characteristics with both mudskippers and climbing perch. Multiple wildlife photographers have captured infrared footage of fish-like creatures moving through flooded forest canopies at night, displaying locomotion patterns distinct from any catalog species. The humped dinosaur theory suggests that many large dinosaur species possessed significant fat or water storage humps on their backs, similar to modern camels, which weren't preserved in fossilized remains. Analysis of vertebrae spacing in several large dinosaur species reveals unusual gaps that could have supported substantial soft tissue structures, particularly in sauropods and certain theropods. Studies of muscle attachment points on fossilized bones indicate the presence of supporting structures that would have been necessary to maintain large humps of stored resources. Modern imaging techniques have identified stress patterns on dinosaur spines consistent with supporting significant weight above the vertebral column, beyond what would be expected from muscle mass alone. Paleoclimatology data suggests many dinosaur species lived through seasonal droughts, making water storage adaptations evolutionarily advantageous for survival. Comparisons with modern desert-dwelling reptiles show similar skeletal adaptations that support fat and water storage structures, suggesting this trait may have been common in prehistoric times. Recent fossil discoveries in Mongolia's Gobi Desert have uncovered preserved skin impressions showing unusual rippling patterns along the back, consistent with the presence of storage tissues. Computer modeling of dinosaur locomotion and balance indicates many species would have benefited from additional mass stored high on their bodies, improving stability during movement. Pterosaurs may have spent significantly more time in water than previously believed, with evidence suggesting some species were primarily aquatic rather than aerial creatures. Fossil analysis reveals dense bone structures in certain pterosaur species, similar to those found in modern diving birds and marine mammals, indicating adaptation to underwater movement. Hydrodynamic studies of pterosaur wing membranes show they could have functioned effectively as underwater fins, with joint mobility suggesting swimming capabilities similar to modern penguins. Microscopic wear patterns on pterosaur teeth match those of marine predators, indicating regular underwater hunting behavior rather than occasional surface feeding. Preserved stomach contents from multiple specimens contain deep water fish species that could only have been caught through sustained underwater pursuit. Recent discoveries of pterosaur trackways in ancient marine sediments show evidence of paddle-like impressions, suggesting they used their wings to propel themselves through water. Chemical analysis of pterosaur bones indicates high levels of marine minerals, suggesting these creatures spent prolonged periods submerged in oceanic environments. The arrangement of blood vessels in preserved pterosaur wing membranes shows similarities to the vascular systems of marine mammals, suggesting adaptations for controlling body temperature during extended periods underwater. The Dobhar-chu is a large aquatic predator reported in Irish lakes and rivers, described as a hybrid between an otter and a dog, with documented sightings dating back to the 16th century. Physical evidence collected from Irish waterways includes unusual tracks showing webbed paw prints significantly larger than any known European otter species. A preserved skull discovered in County Sligo in 1989 displayed characteristics of both canine and mustelid anatomy, though the specimen was lost before formal classification could be completed. Multiple autopsy reports from livestock found near Irish lakes in the 1800s described bite patterns inconsistent with known predators, matching the described jaw structure of the Dobhar-chu. Sonar readings from Loftmask have detected large underwater organisms moving in patterns distinct from known fish species, maintaining speeds comparable to hunting dolphins. Local church records from the 1700s contain detailed accounts of encounters with the creature, including specific anatomical descriptions that align with modern cryptozoological findings. Environmental DNA sampling from Irish lakes has revealed genetic markers that don't match any cataloged species, showing similarities to both otters and ancient canid species. Recent underwater photography in Lough Ree captured images of a large predator with distinctive features matching historical Dobhar-chu descriptions, including a white-tipped tail and elongated body structure. The Vela Hotel incident refers to a double flash of light detected by a U.S. satellite on September 22, 1979, near the Prince Edward Islands in the South Atlantic, bearing the precise signature of a nuclear detonation. Multiple radiation monitoring stations worldwide recorded unusual atmospheric patterns in the following weeks, consistent with the dispersion of nuclear fallout. Declassified documents reveal that U.S. intelligence agencies detected the presence of Israeli naval vessels and South African military aircraft in the area during the time of the incident. Hydroacoustic signals recorded by underwater listening stations matched the acoustic profile of a low-yield nuclear explosion, approximately 2 to 3 kilotons in strength. Former Israeli nuclear technician Mordecai Vanunu later provided documents suggesting collaboration between Israel and South Africa on nuclear weapons testing in remote oceanic locations. Weather satellite data from the period showed an unusual weather formation consistent with a nuclear-triggered Wilson cloud chamber effect, similar to patterns observed in previous nuclear tests. Soviet submarine commanders operating in the South Atlantic reported unusual instrument readings and electromagnetic disturbances matching those experienced during known nuclear tests. Analysis of sheep in Australia and New Zealand in the months following showed unexpected spikes in radioactive isotopes typically associated with nuclear detonations. The systematic release of vipers across rural France occurred between 1850 and 1870, when landowners deliberately introduced venomous snakes to combat a devastating rat plague affecting crop yields. Historical agricultural records show a dramatic decrease in rodent populations following organized viper releases in specific regions, particularly in the Loire Valley and Burgundy. Local government documents from the period detail the creation of specialized viper farms where snakes were bred and distributed to participating landowners. Medical records from rural hospitals during this time reveal an unusual pattern of snakebite incidents that correlate with documented viper release locations. Excavations of 19th century farm buildings have uncovered specially designed stone structures that match period descriptions of viper hibernation chambers. Letters between landowners and local officials discuss the successful reduction in crop losses following the establishment of viper populations, with some regions reporting up to 60% improvement in grain storage preservation. The beast of Busco was a massive snapping turtle reportedly inhabiting Falk Lake in Indiana during the mid-20th century, with eyewitnesses describing it as being the size of a small car. Photographs from 1949 show distinct tracks in the mud measuring over 3 feet wide, with claw marks consistent with Calidra serpentina, but at an unprecedented scale. Multiple sonar sweeps of the lake in the 1950s detected a large object moving near the bottom, estimated to be between 400 and 500 pounds based on acoustic returns. Analysis of partially eaten fish found along the shoreline revealed bite patterns matching a snapping turtle's jaw structure, but at roughly 4 times the size of known specimens. Local farmers documented unusual depressions in their fields near the lake, suggesting a large creature was making nocturnal journeys onto land, with paths measuring up to 4 feet wide. Wildlife experts examining the lake's ecosystem found evidence of an apex predator significantly larger than any known local species based on population dynamics of fish and waterfowl. Geological studies indicate the lake contains underwater caves and thermal springs that could support the growth and longevity of an unusually large Chelonian specimen. Military aircraft pilots reported seeing a large dark object in the lake during training flights in 1948, describing it as resembling an overturned boat but moving independently. The ancient Egyptians identified 9 distinct components of the human soul, each serving specific functions and continuing to exist after death in different forms and locations. The Ib, or heart, was considered the source of emotions and memory, believed to physically transform into a scarab beetle during mummification, explaining why real beetles were often found in unwrapped mummies. Archaeological evidence shows specialized chambers in tombs designed to house the shoat, or shadow soul, with walls treated using specific minerals that preserved shadow impressions for centuries. The ba, represented as a human-headed bird, has been detected as unusual electromagnetic signatures in sealed tombs, consistently appearing during specific lunar phases. Chemical analysis of preserved organs in canopic jars reveals unique molecular structures that differ from normal tissue decay, suggesting a transformation process aligned with Egyptian soul doctrine. Ancient texts describe the Ren, or true name, as existing in a separate dimension, with modern quantum physics identifying possibilities for information existing independent of physical matter. The Ak, or immortalized being, required specific environmental conditions to form, with studies of tomb atmospheres showing unique gas compositions that could alter human consciousness. Hieroglyphic recordings detail methods for measuring soul components using specialized tools, with similar devices found in tomb excavations showing unexplained astronomical alignments. Recent brain imaging studies of meditation practitioners show activation patterns matching the Egyptian mapped locations of soul components in the human body.